Hello, welcome to the Legal Eagle. My guest of the show today is possibly someone you've seen on many television channels. He's a national spokesperson for the BJP. He's also a senior advocate in the Supreme Court. I welcome on my show Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. Mr. Bhatia, as I welcome you and I thank you for being with us, my first question goes back to your school and college days. You've been extremely prolific and athlete also in school. I was going through what I have been seeing about you. You've also been awarded the NCC award for the second best cadet in school in La Martiniere College where you were, and also take us through your early years, how your early journey was, what were your earlier milestones at La Martiniere College, your LLB years at the Lucknow University, and of course your University of Bridgeport and US where you also studied.
Thank you, Rhythm, for having me on your show. It's indeed a privilege to be part of this series, and you're doing an exceptional job. I must congratulate you to bring out the not so boring side of lawyers as well. So since you spoke about NCC, let me say this, that, I'm one of those politicians who know what NCC is, National Cadet Corps. And NCC definitely teaches you how to be disciplined. One thing that I want to share with all the viewers about my school days is, there was a 100-meter race. And, there were 8 participants. My father, a well-known lawyer from Uttar Pradesh, was also participating. I did participate and I came 8th. So out of 8 participants, I came 8th. And I remember my father's expression. He felt embarrassed because many of his friends were also there. And how it changed my life and why am I sharing this experience with you? I realized that perseverance is the only way that you can succeed. I started practicing in the morning, and every day I used to get up at 4 o'clock, do my, exercise, go to the Lucknow Stadium. And after a few years, it must be shared that I became athletics champion of my school, which is a very prestigious school of Lucknow, twice. And I not only won the 100 meters, but I won 7 other races as well. So perseverance pays you. And I remember the satisfaction on the face of my father, like any other father would have. And that was truly memorable.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, you speak about your father. He was extremely well-known, Gaurav. I would like to tell our viewers, late Virendra Bhatia was not only a senior advocate, he was also the former member of the Parliament and Advocate General of Uttar Pradesh. I ask you, you were designated as a senior advocate at the young age of 41. Today, you're also a national spokesperson for the BJP. How are you able to don 2 hats, the politician hat as well as the legal hat?
So, 2 things here. A couplet that my father used to tell me, रफ्तार कुछ जिंदगी की ऐसे बनाए रखना है खुदा कि दुश्मन भले ही आगे निकल जाएं पर कोई दोस्त पीछे ना छूटे. So in law also it is important to pace yourself well, to work hard, but not to be in a rush, because it is a marathon, it is not a 100 meters race. And my father taught me very valuable lessons. He was also very active in bar politics. He told me always, Rhythm, that the one and only identity that you have inside the court is that of a lawyer. Never ever discriminate on the basis of the political ideology of a lawyer or regional identity or religious identity. And bar is one. So that has always been with me, and I must say I have received a lot of blessings and good wishes from my bar colleagues. And thus, I must say that for the judiciary to be strong, it is equally important that the Bar Association is strong, the Bar Council is strong, and we all work together. That is the beauty of the black coat.
You, Gaurav, have yourself been the Secretary of the Supreme Court Bar Association for 2 consecutive terms in 2015 and 2017. You've been the former Joint Secretary of the Supreme Court Bar Association. Keeping this in mind, what do you think are some of the things that need to be done for lawyers, and what do you think the young members of the Bar Association, how should they be considered for elevation? What should be done for them?
Rhythm, I feel that as it is said, bar is the second wheel of the chariot of the justice system that we have. And I must say that, yes, we have the judiciary, but for the judiciary to be strong, it is equally important to have a very strong bar. And learning from my experiences, which I would like to share on your program, it is important that there is no discrimination. And you must be remembering, Rhythm, there have been instances in the past when a political impeachment is brought. It was like a judicial coup which was planned. And the Supreme Court Bar Association stood strong with the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Deepak Mishra. It has become a habit in the Honorable Supreme Court for some lawyers who are very senior in experience to browbeat the honorable judges of the Supreme Court. And I have more respect for young lawyers, those young lawyers whose matters, which matter to them a lot, are dismissed, but they accept the outcome with humility, rather than with very seasoned lawyers who would throw files at the judges. They will, do more of arguments outside the court and on Twitter rather than arguing inside the court. So I would only say that time has come when the judiciary also punishes such lawyers because they bring disrepute to the institution. And I will share a small example of discrimination. I remember when I was the secretary, a very young lawyer, he had written a letter casting aspersions on the registry of the Supreme Court. And when the hearing was going on, the executive committee and the office bearers went to the court and requested the Honorable, the Chief Justice of India then, to be lenient. But he was penalized, and for 1 month, he was debarred from practicing. However, without naming, there is a very seasoned lawyer, a habitual offender. A contempt notice has been pending, Rhythm, against him for the last 8-9 years. My conscience pricks me. Why is it that we should have double standards? If a lawyer is not following the professional conduct expected out of him, he should be penalized. Because if you don't penalize him, you are giving out a message that lawyers can get away with it. And I can tell you with my experience that 99.9% of the lawyers conduct themselves so gracefully, they're respected by all, they accept the outcome of their petition also, and they will never cast aspersions on the judiciary. That is very important. Second, you asked me about the appointment. I think since it is tough time for the country also, we are facing a pandemic like COVID. This time needs to be very well utilized by the Collegium of the Supreme Court and various high courts. As we have this discussion, there are more than 40 to 50% of vacancies in various high courts of the country. There are 6 or 7 vacancies in the Honorable Supreme Court. We just saw a change in guard and we have a new Chief Justice. We have a lot of expectations from Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Justice Ramanna. And I think this time needs to be utilized well because we need to fill up these vacancies. The young members of the bar from the Supreme Court and the High Court need to be considered. And also, there needs to be a revolution of justice delivery system. That is the need of the hour for the country, because a vibrant democracy like ours, Rhythm, cannot afford pendency of 3 crore cases, in various courts of the country. So therefore, when a citizen is deprived of justice and he is law-abiding or she is law-abiding for 30, 40 years, when he has lost a dear one, when somebody in the family and her dignity has been violated, and he waits for 30, 35, 40 years for justice and the finality of it, I think a vibrant democracy like ours cannot actually accept it or afford it.
Yes. Gaurav, I also want to ask you, since you've been someone who's been the additional advocate general in Uttar Pradesh, you have a wide base whether it comes to UP. You've been the youngest honorable secretary of the Supreme Court Bar Association and also former AOR in the Supreme Court. We've seen how several people, and we call them the lobby, have tried to besmirch the judiciary. Whether it's the Ayodhya case, where we've seen people staging a walkout, lawyers staging a walkout, whether we've seen the impeachment proceedings against former Chief Justice of India, whether it's been the Nirav Modi case, where we've seen certain former Supreme Court judges and other former judges in India go abroad and try and speak against the judiciary. It is almost like there is a concerted attempt to try and destabilize our judiciary. What steps need to be taken to ensure that this does not happen?
Rhythm, absolutely right. It can't be that you accept the favorable verdicts of the Honorable Supreme Court. You are happy when the Hadia case pronouncement is made, but you are unhappy and you actually try to stall the proceedings of the Honorable Supreme Court, be it the case of, landmark Ayodhya verdict, or there are many other cases like Judge Loya case. I would only say that it brings disrepute to the institution, and no individual can be bigger than the institution itself. And thus, like a foot soldier of the Honorable Supreme Court and this institution, I've already made it very clear that law applies to everyone equally. If there is a lawyer who's bringing disrepute to the institution, who is using even social media to pass scurrilous remarks on the sitting judges of the court, then the court needs to take cognizance of it. And we need to ensure that such incidents are not repeated. The reason is very simple. The common man, the citizenry of the country, holds the courts in very high esteem. And when such baseless allegations are made against the judiciary and the institution, it shakes the confidence of the people of the country, of which there is no basis. So we need to curb this. We need to come down heavily on them.
I'm going to come back to this, but I also Gaurav need to ask you about an application you've made. For the very first time in 2018, you filed something that was a PIL in your own name when you said violence in West Bengal also needs to be looked into. Now you've moved an application in which you say there needs to be a proper probe in the West Bengal violence. Take us through the need for this application at this time, because all of us are seeing the violence that has now erupted in West Bengal.
Rhythm, absolutely. Let me just connect it to my experience as a lawyer in one of the other cases during the Muzaffarnagar riots. When personal liberty is at stake, when human rights are violated, we are lawyers, but we are also officers of the court. It is our bounden duty to come forward and apprise the court of such ghastly incidents. And that is why my conscience made me do it. I have not filed any PIL before the one that you are actually referring to in 2018 under my own name. And what is happening in West Bengal right now or from the last 2 years is unacceptable. Therefore, we need to bring it to the notice of the court. And I'm grateful to the Honorable Supreme Court that a hearing was done in 2019. And that matter is still pending, waiting for a final hearing. But in this case, I'm very hopeful that this matter would be also heard soon. And justice will be done to the family members of the deceased, of women who have been violated brutally. And their only fault, Rhythm, was that they exercised their democratic right. And that right was not exercised in favor of the ruling dispensation. And thus, I'm very, very hopeful that such matters will be given priority, not just by the Honorable Supreme Court, but also by various high courts of the country. And let me also add to this. I was speaking about the Muzaffarnagar riots case. I remember I was representing the state of UP then as the Additional Advocate General. And there was a government order passed which said that 1,800 families belonging to a particular religion will get a compensation of 5 lakhs. When I saw that government order, I was shaken, Rhythm. And I told the then Chief Minister that this is unacceptable. A person who has suffered cannot be discriminated upon on the basis of religion. And then that government order was taken back by the state of UP government then in 2013, and the Supreme Court also frowned upon it. So such cases are the ones that lay down the law to ensure that such mistakes are not repeated in the future.
Gaurav, I also want to shift base. I want to ask who has influenced you? Your own father was a politician and a lawyer, also in the legal fraternity. Who are the other legal legends who've had influence on you?
Rhythm, this is a very tough one, but I must say that the beauty about Supreme Court and the Supreme Court Bar Association is that from the south we have legends like K.K. Venugopalji, the late P.P. Rao sir. From the east we have people like Mr. Vijay Hansaria. Then from the north we have people like Rakesh Dwivedi ji. From the from Maharashtra, we have people like Mr. Harish Salve, and they all come together to make the institution so strong. They have such innate qualities that the youngsters need to learn from. And to cite an example, like Mr. Nariman, Mr. Fali S. Nariman, whenever I would meet him outside the court, he would tell me, Gaurav, learn to criticize everyone. Learn to criticize even the judiciary if they are wrong, even the government that you serve if they are wrong. You know how many people would say that? So we lost Soli Sorabji sir, remembering him so fondly. He was one of those I had the privilege of arguing a matter from the other side. And once the matter was over, he came out and he patted my back and said that, very well argued. This is the way to go ahead. You know, he was doing it to every youngster, encouraging them, showing them that this is the way to go. And truly, we are all blessed to be serving an institution like the Supreme Court. And we have a very, very robust judiciary. We have legends like Mr. Ram Jethmalani, I had the privilege of interacting with. And it feels great to be in their company. It's a learning experience every day, every second that you spend with them.
My last question to you, what would the legal reforms in the judiciary for you be, Gaurav? What do you think should be done with appointment of judges, judicial vacancies, pendency of cases?
Rhythm, I think there should be no vacancies because that is what the Honorable Supreme Court has also said in the NJAC case. It said that if there is a vacancy that is to occur, then the process of selecting the judges should start well in advance. And there are things to ponder on. I do not have the answers, but yes, I do have questions that I can raise through your program. Why do we have two standards? Why is it that some of the advocates are considered even before 45 years of age, and the others are told that you'll have to wait till 45? We also need to ask ourselves that since separation of power, the judiciary should be separated from the executive, then this task of ensuring that vacancies are filled on time is with the judiciary and the collegium. And we cannot have a system where the vacancies are 40% and 50% of the sanctioned strength. And for that, what we need to do is, there is a provision in the Constitution that once a sitting judge of the High Court or Supreme Court demits office, then the High Court judge can be asked to continue in service, seeing the pendency till we find suitable candidates. These retired judges who are very competent and have served the judiciary well can be asked to serve the judiciary. Second, why not consider young lawyers? You know, they would have a longer tenure. They would add fresh ideas. They will come with the energy. And that is something that is the need of the hour. And I think time has also come for women to get a greater share in the higher judiciary. And I'm sure that time is not far away when we will see a woman Chief Justice of India. And I think it would be a great hour for the democracy that we all serve.
Yes, that's an extremely positive note, Gaurav. On that note, as I thank you for being our legal eagle, I also say that I've known you for 15 years, much before I became a journalist, and I used to practice in the courts. And since then, I've always seen you're a nationalist. You've been donning a political hat, but I've always known you as a lawyer. And the one thing you said today is truly true. We all need to side with the judiciary and also need to make proper attempts to ensure that a lobby is never able to destabilize the judiciary. I thank you for being a part of the Legal Eagle this week. Thank you.
Rhythm, just one more thing, Rhythm. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Sure.
But since you've said that I don't two hats, it's said that law is a jealous mistress. And I have another jealous mistress, which is politics. So, I must thank my better half. She is Jasprit Bhatia. She's a lawyer too. And she deals with two jealous mistresses. And yet, my success, little that I have achieved in law and politics would not have been possible without her support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rhythm.